Greetings, folks. Today's topic is technological unemployment. Well, a specific argument about technological unemployment, actually. But to start at the beginning, what we have to define technological unemployment. And to that end, the basic idea is effectively that through technology or the development of new technologies and capabilities other than those of human labor, humans are in fact put out of a job or jobs. We've seen this throughout history. There are a lot fewer people who raise and use horses or drive them or carry the mail that way than there used to be because we've come up with technologies that have superseded that particular capability. And of course, the printing press put people who were doing a lot of transcription out of business as well and rapidly increased the capability to produce valid works that were useful and, of course, increased literacy rapidly. And this is a trend that has followed throughout history. Now, most of these things have come and have done various damage to specific groups of that have worked in particular fields, but they haven't hit the entire economy in the way that some people say that now we are starting to see things happening, that the capabilities of artificial intelligence and robots and some of these machines are starting to become so good and so effective that they are displacing humans in such a way that humans will not be able to adapt, will not be able to move to other jobs, and will not be able to continue to make a living and be an effective part of society as a result of this? It's an interesting question, the one that's been bandied back and forth. Such things have been suggested throughout history, of course, as the people have lost their jobs. And as yet, no one has seen a technology that has really done this to anyone. And that kind of Luddism, which is the term for people pressing against technological development in general, is generally, or has generally in the past, been basically debunked by the outcome of history. However, this is a new technology. We've never seen this development before, and it is at least conceivable that that outcome could be very problematic, where we have a lot of displaced people who don't have jobs. I would, however, like to make an additional arguments to this, that as we're developing all these technologies, as we're moving forward and creating all these things, we are also going to increase human capacity. So instead of a simple situation where we have humans who are not able to keep up because they are limited by human faculties, we have the potential for humans to be able to compete or at least work alongside in a valuable and economically effective manner the robots that are doing all of these things. Sure, your self-driving car right now doesn't gain anything from having a human involved, but the technologies that are driving these revolutions are also evolving in other directions. We now have the first situations where humans have been seen to actually send some degree of thought to another human. We have cases where we've been able to connect cameras and to the brain and be able to get useful signals. We have for some time been replacing human hearts with artificial ones. We can produce limbs that can outpace their natural equivalents. And in fact, this has been an interesting thing to watch in running. We have an interesting situation, therefore, where we can upgrade and even begin to replace parts of humans in such a way that they are superior. It's the $6 million man concept. It's the cyborgs that we've seen throughout science fiction in writ large, except on a more voluntary basis, and probably not out to destroy the world. In fact, these would and are typical human beings who are becoming ever more cyborg. For the most part, we've been using them to replace damage, but as the technology continues to improve and increase, we find ourselves in an ever more interesting dilemma where we could actually gain advantages by placing these different things onto humans who otherwise have functioning limbs, either to enhance the existing ones or in place of them. And that is an ethical debate for another time, but it's an interesting situation that we've come to, that we're already at that point. And so, is it unreasonable then to think that it's at least possible that humans will be able to keep pace to a certain degree with our technologies if we choose to upgrade ourselves? If we can basically put some of the capabilities of the computer that we'd otherwise be working with directly interfacing with the human brain at the speed of thought rather than through the somewhat clumsy mechanisms that we currently have, will that enable us to actually compete with the computers that would otherwise be taking our jobs or work more directly with them? We certainly have seen plenty in fiction where people basically live in virtual realms because they have those kinds of connections, and there's no reason to expect that technology isn't at least theoretically feasible. How soon we get there or how hard it may be is an interesting question unto itself. But there are plenty who are also suggesting that we can, through regenerative medicine, improve the human body. So if we have the capability to regrow certain things and are improving our medical capabilities, that makes it all the easier to implant and make these upgrades over time. And so if you are calculating at the speed your computer is, and you have the edge of a little more human dexterity, a little more experience, emotion, or whatever we believe the human advantages are from basically a general intelligence that humans bring that is harder to create in AI or computer systems, then can we not suspect that we would have a continuing edge that would allow us to continue to compete and be effective in that system? So that's my thoughts on the matter. A little bit of a different approach, I think, than I've typically heard other places. Hopefully it's some valuable food for thought. And there go the planets. So thank you for listening. Thank you for visiting the channel. Hopefully, if you enjoy these kinds of thoughts and a lot of other things pertaining to exploration and adventure, to new ideas, and exploring the realms of science, technology, all the amazing things around us, and a little bit of exploration. You'll like it, and come back again to hear more on this lovely space that we have.